Hello everyone, my name is Alex Magana and I will be presenting my independent project, The Effects of Drought on Species Richness. As you may know, there has been a recent prevalence of drought throughout the country and throughout the globe, whether that be due to climate change or human influences. From 2000 through 2015, about 20 to 70% of the US experienced abnormally dry conditions at any one time, according to the Environmental Protection Agency. This graph on the right shows that data, and as we see it dip lower and lower into the negative regions, that translates to a more extreme and severe drought. Furthermore, California recently experienced its most severe drought on record, lasting 376 weeks from late 2011 to 2019. So this got me to thinking, how does rainfall, or the lack thereof, affect species richness? For my experiment, I hypothesized that soil with higher levels of rainfall would have significantly greater species richness relative to plots with less rainfall due to increased water availability. I predicted that we would observe significantly less species richness in drought-treated plots than in control-treated plots. Before we continue, it is important to note that data used for my independent project derived from the 2013 Colt Park grassland restoration experiment conducted in the northern United Kingdom. So what was the experimental setup? Scientists began by assigning 12 different 90 centimeter to 105 by 105 centimeter plots. And these plots were labeled with 3 different treatments: C, CSH, or DR. C stands for ambient treatment, meant to be the true control, in which no rainout shelter was built over the plot and rainfall was allowed to flow freely. CSH stands for control shelter treatment, in which a rainout shelter was built over the plot with some holes cut into the roof to allow limited water flow. DR stands for the last treatment, which is drought treatment, in which a rainout shelter was built and placed over the plot, and no holes were cut into the roof, therefore to simulate a drought. Measurements were taken daily for the span of 1 full week, in which they counted the total number of vegetation species within each plot. So what do our results indicate? On the left here, we have a box plot graph showing the distribution of species richness by each individual treatment. However, upon the conduction of an ANOVA test, we found there to be no significant relationship between species richness and drought treatment, as shown by this low F value of 1.43. Therefore, we must reject my earlier hypothesis and conclude that there's no significant relationship. So why might we have observed these results? According to a study conducted in the Mediterranean, maintaining high levels of species diversity is vital for mediating drought effects on less resistant species. Additionally, a study conducted in Germany indicated that ecosystems' drought response is dependent on the levels of species richness. Therefore, it is possible that we observe lower species richness in the ambient treated plots relative to plots treated with control shelter or drought due to less species diversities at the start of the experiment. Unfortunately, the dataset did not include what those levels were prior to the experiment. It is also important to note that the sample size for this data was relatively low, only being 36. Additionally, as I stated earlier, the time frame for data collection was only the span of 1 week. Therefore, it would be unreasonable to translate these findings to a general and long-term conclusion of how species richness is affected by drought. So how can our research be improved and our understanding furthered? What I would do personally would be to repeat the Colt Park grassland restoration experiment with a larger sample size and a longer time frame, possibly over the span of 1 year. That would allow you to understand the long-term effects of drought on species richness, as well as possibly compare the different seasonal changes and seasonal effects of drought on each plot's species richness. Additionally, I would like to experiment on plots with pre-recorded and varying levels of species richness and have the drought superimposed on all of them. That would allow us to find the effect of species richness on mediating the effects of severe droughts. Furthermore, I would like to expand this study to other ecosystems. As I stated earlier, it comes from the Colt grassland restoration experiment, and it would be valuable to conduct this experiment here in California, where we have some deserts and maybe other ecosystems around the world as well, to study the effects it has on each individual ecosystem. These are the literature cited. Thank you for your time and have a good day.